Bueno, bienvenidos a Cinemancia 5. Hoy tenemos la oportunidad de conversar con Ewelina Roshinska, cineasta polaca, invitada muy especial de este festival. Y pues nada, nos alegra mucho poder ir más allá de lo que vemos en la pantalla junto a las películas y a la cineasta. So yeah, I was saying that I am intrigued by the process of your film. Like, how do you conceive your films? There's even like a quote down there that says that you like don't actually like think about the idea much, but you kind of recollect them through and then just like put them together. But I want to like dig deeper into that. Like, stuff we talked the other day about the like not timeline cinema, but more like layers.
Yeah, 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 yeah. This is I really enjoy this concept. It's not mine. I picked it from Maya Deren, that is everyone knows her. And there is actually it's she was taking part in the symposium in New York. I don't maybe 68. I don't remember exactly the date. Or earlier, 58, sorry, I don't remember. But in this text, she's spreading this idea of horizontal films and more verticals. She's using the term poetic film and saying that, in her opinion, poetic films, they work more vertical. This is also the reason why they are often not so long, because the intensity goes in a different direction than in the linear horizontal, and it's something I this text I discovered it not in the beginning of the filmmaking I'm doing, but at some point. But I was very happy to read it because it gave me a better vocabulary to name what I'm doing. And yeah, basically when I don't work so much project based. I collect images, and at some point I decide to make a film when I feel that there is enough material. Of course, I have some things in mind. So you were mentioning this quote. It's what I say there, that I work in a way that it's something like all the time between controlling and not controlling what I'm doing. And in my case, like filmmaking, it's very integrated in my life, in my private life. There is no strong division, which means that I have the camera very often with me when I go, especially when I go somewhere. I always take it, and yeah, it's like this. I have since I work alone, I can always decide myself if I do it or not, if I film or not. So this case gives me a lot of flexibility. At the same time, sometimes I would like to also turn off this sensor I have, like, for the, oh, am I gonna film now or not? Also to have sometimes a break and just be, and not to think of image making. But in general, I really enjoy to work like this, and I think this is, for me, I don't know, if I would not discover this method, maybe I would not be able to make films, because in the more classical way, like that first you have a script and then you film, I was not feeling creative in it. I was always like under hang of pressure, like this as
Always like order.
yeah, or like even this solitude with piece of paper. Like I won't just panic and I'd escape. And in that case, I always work with reality, with surrounding. I really like to kill my friends or family. It's not the only surrounding I film, but mostly. And So I kind of more respond to the reality than that I give strong impulses. One could say that I kind of look for certain melody in the world around me, and when I hear it, I take the camera, and when I don't sense it, when I don't hear it,
You know. So in that sense, like I'm also really intrigued about the way you like write, because I mean like you can see that your films are like mostly written with the camera and with your body. There's this like Mexican filmmaker that's called Pablo Martinez. I don't know if you know him.
Absolutely. We
From Mexico, and he has this idea that's called like the body, like the body camera, and the body of the camera. So we say that in a way, when you film in like a more traditional way, the camera is like
it's
far away.
itself.
It's like the body of the camera for itself. When you like actually like put the camera like I don't know like incorporate into your body, you create this sense of body camera. That is sort of like it's symbiosis, so sort of like way of filming.
Yeah.
And I think that your films kind of like dialogue that way with it. But there's like a big research and writing behind the way he works, so we can get to this like state of flow when he films. So I'm kind of like intrigued in that like research and writing and the things that are not seen on the field, but that like kind of makes your composure to incorporate the kind of.
It's very different from film to film. It's not that I always have that there is always a big research behind what I do. For example, in one of the films, Ashes by His Men, it came in the end of a very long process when I was deconstructing the idea of identity and what does it mean for me. I'm born in Poland, and it has a very strong Catholic and nationalistic narrative, and it took me a while to understand it, where it comes from, and this were deconstructed and start to feel comfortable with it. So, for example, for this film, I was reading a lot in advance, and I was also had a very intensive dialogue with my sister, who was also having similar feelings around it. So we would exchange a lot of like, I don't know, like essays, literature, or poems, or many written things. But with other film, for example, Everything in the Mouth, I was literally just like going out and filming whatever would caught my attention, and in the end, so there was very little. There was not the phase of research. I was many times also working like with first impression, and with this film, it was, for example, important for me to, because the material was it was going in many different directions, and it was very easy to give up in a way, because it was very difficult to shape it till the point that I felt, okay, this works. So, for example, I put a rule for myself that I'm gonna take serious every impulse I had to film, and this I kind of start to try to keep. It's I think it happens to all of us many times. That like we feel something, then after some time we see it and we are maybe not so attracted to it anymore, or and I was really trying to have this discipline to, even I would not see it anymore what I was attracted to at the moment of filming, but like having the respect to this impulse, like to myself in a way, I would try to work on it anyway, even in the beginning maybe not believing if this is gonna bring me somewhere or not. And this method it's also very very helpful for the type of work I do. And what you said about the camera or the body, like in my case, this specific camera, which is the Bolex, and it's quite big camera for nowadays, and it has no electronics. It has like a motor, like in a watch that you have to rewind it, and then it goes only for 25. You can film only for 25 seconds, but it's really something like a musical instrument. So you kind of, and at some point when you craft it well, like you are also very intuitive how you use it, and it's definitely a different presence in the space than it would be with the smaller digital camera. Like I literally need to use my body a bit to make this device working, like more than like setting the thing and pressing exactly. So I did, for example, one music video with the iPhone that I was trying to reconstruct this strategy that you have to use with the Bolex camera, and I have to admit that it kind of worked out. I'm happy with the results. So it was also very happy to realize that it's not only in this camera, but I think it was maybe less the body, but what I was repeating is that I was filming only as long as I found something interesting, and I was making decisions like when to start and stop filming on the spot. Because I think the big difference with the analog and digital filmmaking is that with the digital filmmaking, since we can afford to film wrong tapes, in many times postpone the moment of the decision to the editing room, and with the analog filmmaking, since it's also so expensive, you kind of have to make it in the moment. But yeah, I was happy to realize that I can actually also recreate this with a different device.
Yes, it's nice because like makes me wonder about something that I like to call like for photochemical brights. Like when your film sounds like all in 16 millimeter film, then it's a really big difference in the like editing the stage, to use like a mouse or to use like the whole like reviewing process and manipulating negatives, working with all that. But in the end, like a friend told me, it's all gonna be on a computer for your finish. So like I'm really wondering about your perspective about the importance of like dealing with material film. Like does it have anything special, or do you think that it's just like something that part of the same, only a part of the same process? What was the like importance of working with material film, and does it have like a political reason behind? Is there anything like especially like about preserving that like tradition, that like sort of like obsolete way of doing things for the big system? That's like really important for us. You get it, you see it at the screen.
Like in my case, I edit digital, no? So I bought a Steenbeck 2 years ago. It is not easy because there is very little by now that are working. So I was really happy that for a reasonable price I could get one, and I started to edit. It was like my course film on 16 millimeter, and I started to edit analog, but I felt a bit too slow. Like it really required for me, since I don't have with the Steenbeck. It's not that I can I can do it more or less quickly, but it takes much more time than just like making a click with the mouse. And this was a very big challenge for me to wait that I have an idea of an edit, and till the moment that I can see it, it some time has to pass and some work has to be done. It has also this. I also got pregnant at some point, and I got a daughter, So it's I don't know what in the end made me come back to the digital. Like I think it's not only the thing itself, but also the circumstances, and I have kind of nomadic way of living, so it's much easier also for me to just have a computer and a hard disk, and like this I can set my little studio in many places as soon as there is some nice corner. But I think it definitely influences how one edits. In my case, since I really like to be very, very precise in my editing, and I really try to be as precise as possible. It was difficult for me to do it on film, since it's nowadays also expensive to have another positive, and at some point when I make many cuts on my positive, and since my background is in digital editing, I tend to go like back and forth in my decisions. Even the fact that through cutting and re-gluing, I would destroy a bit the frames, and then I was kind of losing the sensation if this destruction comes from the editing or it's maybe not the perfect image. So I really, there is filmmakers around me. One that is very important for me, Ute Allen, who was my teacher, and now she's a very good friend. She started analog and she's doing it till now, but when I see how she's at the table, she's maybe as quick as I am with my digital edits. So I don't know. Sometimes, yeah, we are talking sometimes about these differences. What does it mean? But we never get to some like very, like we never can like nail it to like now give you like a 3 main differences or something. But continuing, because your question was very, there were many aspects. Like imagine that because I'm filming analog, like when so first of all, I don't see it immediately. This is, I think, very important, that when I film, I only see the things that I'm filming through the viewfinder, and also the camera. There is camera when I put the aperture high, then I see less. So sometimes I see very little. And when my ISO is maybe like 250 and it's sunny day, I really have to close the lens, so I really don't see so much. But I see something, and I work then with the memory of what I was filming. So this confrontation with the reality, it's later with what is really recorded. So I keep on working in my mind on condition, and this is, I think, very precious and very special, and also very supports then the method how I can the concept of the whole film, that it's so much like mind driven in a way, this and not maybe but not written, for example.
So like telepathic or in a way.
Yeah. And so this is one thing. Then when I finally have the material that I was filming, it's also not like in the digital world, you would have a folder with different clips. And in my case, I have like one stripe with things. So there is actually already some edits, like also in this camera, you can also edit already in the camera. So this also changes a lot. Like, of course, you can put all your clips on the timeline, but it's not really the same. And when you ask like of the political dimension of it, like I don't know how is with the footprint of the analog filmmaking, because there is also nasty chemicals there, no? You can, like black and white, you can at least develop in some natural way, but to produce the film, it's just very far from ecological process. But of course, to produce all the digital devices, it's also a lot of dirt being involved, or the footprint must be very high. But at least that I can't produce numbers of takes and numbers of recordings already feels more I feel more relaxed thinking of some like overproduction, overconsumption of nowadays. Yeah.
And also, there's this thing that like,
I mean, one thing, and also that you cannot, yeah, you film, and it's always gonna take you time. I can't make like film and in next like film edit quickly and well. So there is always needs to pass some time. Like it's not possible. So this is maybe also something they have fast rhythm of nowadays.
yeah, and also like you have to like, so like believe in what you think and film, and
Yeah.
like I'm also intrigued about the religious part of it, because it's like a sort of like a bond. I think the film is kind of like the religion of one's me who don't believe in God, because we have to believe in something, or we believe in film. So I wanted to like dig deeper into the relationship you have with religion as a whole, and seeing film as sort of like a religious experience too, or maybe not, because like your films are all like, I mean, 80% of them filled with religious symbols, religious rituals, religious like portraits. But you compare.
Maybe not 80, but a lot, but not 80.
That's the way that.
Yeah.
I see.
You see 80%, but it's not 80, but I respect that you see so much.
Okay, I just using like a random number for saying that that's like a vast like amount of images and reflections about the religion. So how do you like relate religion with film, and how do you think that it could like face the way you see like your way of working, and your way of also like living, of creating your biography? Yeah, I could start to talk about the two different. Maybe I say first one thing like, I think like church, like I grew up in Poland, which is very Catholic country, a small town. My grandparents were very religious. My parents not really, but it was very very present anyway. It's present everywhere. And I think that maybe like the first like performative things I've seen in my life were actually in a church. Since like I guess you have probably heard similar mass. No mass? That's what it's called. Yeah. Or Mass. Yeah.
mass. So it has a very theatrical performative character, and also very sensual. There is a lot of music also. There is like moments of being sad, moments of being happy. In the end, you kind of, there's always like more happy music when you're leaving the church, no? But through this 1 hour, you would go through different emotions. They also use this I really don't know how is it called in English, but these things that smell very intensely, that they burn, like yes, they use one uses candles in the church, but also these things with very intense smell. So it's not, so it really affects all your senses. Then you have many paintings, many sculpture, architecture, like all everything. Like it was the was the main scene of many centuries for many artists. So it's like full of creativity. So this can be one of the reasons why it's kind of so close for me to like even I'm by now like with very critical with the institution of the Catholic Church. I kind of can't help these roots I have in how I experience art for the first time, and and since I went through this process of finding peace with that, I started because first before the process of accepting my identity where Catholicism plays a big role, I would not even think about using the religious element. But after I started to feel comfortable with it, I also started to find a joy in playing with it and not seeing it that heavy and just like taking it in a way I want it. And it's also such a universal language, and so many people in the world like relate to it. It's actually amazing. Well, one can discuss this from the other angle. It's maybe not so amazing, but in a way we are from such a faraway places and we have so many things in common. It's to kind of when one is free of maybe the bad influence of that, it's also very, yeah, I enjoy it that we can connect. Yeah.
I really think that your films have this sort of like naive look. Like they have like not like a really big like speech or like a structure you can tell that's like actors being directed or even like scenes being like driven through some sort of like mental, but sort of like looks kind of random and in this like uh, way of assembling them together, they come to make like more sense and like the thing you said about the church, like more of like five senses experiences, and and I want to know how you like watch films too, like how do you consider yourself and as an spectator, like how do you think that being a spectator also influences the way you work on the filmmaker, or do you think that they are kind of like separate ways?
No, I don't think, because I think of the viewer when I edit, and the viewer I know the most is myself, so it it's connected. Uh, I think like the biggest joy in the cinema, I think it's when I see it, and it can be the saddest movie ever, but when I see a kind of joy of a filmmaker in it, doing like you can sense it,
Yes.
that it's kind of made of joy and not of maybe anger or hate or other emotions. I think there's also many filmmakers who speak more from a position of being angry. And don't get me wrong, like it's not, it can be for, even when the films are very critical with the reality. uh, I don't know, it's difficult to close it if we mean some sentences, yeah.
Maybe like some example.
Because no, what I also want to say that I think the moment that I kind of don't like what I watch is when I feel that it's very manipulative and that everything is made for me to forget about myself, and that it's it's made for the sake of me being like curious what happens that, like kind of playing on the cheap emotions like this. I usually get just like dissatisfied. I usually watch till the end anyway because I quite quick. Yeah, fair. But I'm not on this festival. I also having an honor to make a seminar, so I was preparing some texts for this seminar, and one of the texts I prepared is by Maria Lang. She's a German filmmaker, but she also wrote a few beautiful texts about the cinema, and one of her concepts is she's calling it happy images. And happy images are for her images that doesn't need to serve a story or deliver information. And I think it's obvious kind of to see it in a kind of cinema I do, or in a more poetic cinema, but I also see it, even it's kind of a contradiction, but I also see it in fiction, like when there is in fiction films, for example, that the situation itself, it's kind of that situation that some scene exists for itself, and not only to serve the plot to be told. I get satisfied as a viewer. As an example, you had films by Sandro Cobeliza. This is an example of films like this. Or there is another filmmaker who was also very close to Sandro and to me, who's Ewelina Roshinska. I very enjoy his cinema, and I really, even it's like there is always story and there is many layers. I always feel that the scenes, the situations, they are kind of entities in itself, so they are also like kind of happy situations in itself.
So yeah, like, do you think that like you get like big influences from what you see, or that you actually try to like stand away from that, like trying to be like, I don't really like the word like unique, also like sort of like almost your own conception of film always being present in your works, but between the circle be mesh.
No, I'm okay. Like I really want to be open and to be receptive. I feel that with time, I have maybe less patience now that I had some years ago, and I imagine I might have less and less. But but I don't want to be like this. I will do say patience and open for inspiration. Um, but I think when I work, of course, there is filmmakers and films that inspire me, but I take a lot of inspiration from photographers and photography books. I take inspiration from music. Yeah, I think these two areas, I have a feeling I kind of get there more than, maybe not more, but a lot. So I think since this is not so direct, it's maybe more fun in a way, because I have to kind of what I find inspiring in music, for example, and some attitude, for example, in a music, or even like, for example, in a hip hop, how the singer is singing. I recognize their attitude. That's like, okay, I wanna try to get this attitude in this part of the film, and then I try to translate the attitude. Or there is some harmony or disharmony that I find interesting, and then I kind of want to recreate this in the film. Or literature, what is it? Literature also like it's really when I read and I feel that it's very encouraging to me read while I'm editing, because I kind of perceive every sentence in a book like, okay, this person just did it, just opened the mouth or wrote the thing down and just named this thing and put it together. So this is, for example, very encouraging to me while editing, that I read from time to time.
Um, uh, another question that I thought about that's like related to being a filmmaker too. But it is like filmmaking as a job, like living. Like how do you live your life, or earn your life as a filmmaker? Like how has the process been? Or if, like also like you do short films, so short films are not as like marketable as like like feature films. So how has this process been, and what do you think? What do you plan?
Well, in general, I kind of always try to have more or less a cheap life, to not to have to, not to be forced to make a lot of money every month. Sometimes I'm a bit tired of it, but not. Like I prefer it this way. And basically, I was always working parallel to what I'm doing. It's just the last 3 years that I got there is like a short film award in Germany, and it comes with the bigger amount of money. And I didn't got the main prize, but the nomination, and already the nomination was with some money. And parallel to that, I won a scholarship of the city of Berlin for 6 months. So it was the first, because I was also the school I graduated, you can stay there for a long time. So I was also having access to post-production, to equipment I don't really need, but I also could use the budget of the school to make my films. And since I was not following, like usually people with the budget they have at my school, they would do one short film, because to do a fiction they would have to use everything. For me, I could stretch it much longer, because okay, to buy a film and develop it's a bit expensive, but it's way cheaper than to organize the shooting for 30 people, no? So this is one thing. But anyway, I was whether working for many years in the film industry, doing whether research job, in the beginning production assistant, and then in the final phase I was mainly assistant director. But it's very stressful, and I got a bit, yeah, I didn't want to do it anymore. Then I worked at the school that I finished. I was running cinema there, but I had a nice situation that I could have 1 month free and 1 month working. So this way of structuring it allowed me to work parallel, because I find it very difficult when you have to, for example, work 3 days a week. And yeah, I need longer time to get into working. Now I have the situation that I have some funding, and right now I'm gonna take a risk, and because after maternity break, I'm about to come back to my regular life. This was kind of exceptional because of the giving birth to a human being. I had to stop doing other things, and let's see. I'm gonna try to get fundings in Germany so possible. And since my films are not very expensive, everyone is complaining that the fundings are not enough, but for my way of filmmaking, they are. And if this doesn't work out, and maybe on a long run, experimental cinema is very rare that it works out to live out it from. Yeah, I will seek to make this and that parallel.
Okay. So the last question is like, how was the experience being? How was the experience with Cinemancia? How was like the interchange of knowledge, like conceptions of cinema between like you and the festival and the vehicle? Like, how was the experience been?
I have a very privileged position here because like there's a big focus on my work, so it's not something that I experienced many times before. So I'm really happy to be in this position, and that like there's many people who enjoy the work I do. So this feels just simply very, very nice and really encouraging to continue and to feel on the right way, and etc. etc. And yeah, like it's amazing in general. Like I watch the program and it resonates with me. Like it happens also that when it's on the festival, that yeah, it's nice to be there, but everything that it's there, it doesn't really correspond with what one likes in the cinema, and here it's not the case. I'm very lucky to be here with a friend of mine who I was studying with, Daniel Mesa, who was also one of the guests. So we were studying together for many years. Then our life developed in a different direction. He's back in the Colombia, so it's amazing to reunite and just to continue what we maybe left some years ago. And this festival, like, I don't know, do you have here the atmosphere? I have a feeling, I feel there's many friends working together, and you can feel it, and that many people who work in the festival are really interested in the cinema and or doing cinema themselves or in different way connected to the cinema. Yeah, it feels, like a little paradise for like, experimentals and film freaks. Yeah, some nice film freaks in the loop, exactly. So it's good because with the experimental film, one sometimes feels lonely. It's not everywhere in the same dose. So the reunions like this, they help to like to feel the community, to feel that there is people that relate to this kind of film, that one is not working in a vacuum. It's
That even though the festival is like, what is fiction, like the main question, but the festival is not about like fiction, documentary, experimental.
but it's a question for this year. It's not.
Yes, it's like the question for this year, but the festival always has this theme of like not separating films by genre, but by just like the intensity of the gesture, and that's like pretty important in the.
No, but that's really nice. I think it's a. I think my personal taste, it's also, I don't watch only experimental films only because I do them. Not at all.
Probably, probably after the rest. Because basically it, but make you Ewelina,
Thank you very much.
surreal, and make you speak a lot, but because within you have many things to say you want to listen to, and say
Thanks so much.
so I hope we can see each other again in Medellín or in Poland or in the yes, any part here. For sure, yeah, y bueno, muchas gracias a la Sector D y Cinemancia.